Good morning, everybody. My name is Julie Ritter, and I'm excited to share with you today. I keep saying good morning because here in Arizona, it's just the morning, and I'm super excited to get to share with you. I'm assuming you heard our topic today is host coaching. And I need to just tell you from the get-go, my goal today is to share why we host coach and then ideas on how to host coach. There are many, many options and many systems that you can choose from. So at the end, you'll need to decide what works for you personally. I've been doing Pampered Chef for nearly 22 years, that it's important to be specific with my host and balance at the same time. The little acronym KISS, are you all familiar with KISS? Keep it simple, sweetie, or keep it simple, stupid. You decide what it is, but there's a balance between being really specific with your host and keeping it simple and not overwhelming them. I'm going to mute everybody, and if you all want to talk, feel free to unmute yourself, but we'll just make sure we have a clean recording. So over the years, I've had seasons of being really organized, and of course, when I did that, the results were what you'd expect. Right? What do y'all expect when you're organized with host coaching? Higher party averages, more recruit leads, more bookings, less cancellations. That's all good, right? And then I have had seasons where I got squirrely and I just decided to wing it. And I didn't use system, and the results were also what you'd expect. Less stability, lower sales, lower bookings, recruitings, and more cancellations. So we can always reflect on our own activity. If we get results, there's reasons why, and we need to study it when it's working, and we need to study it when it's not working. We can't blame it on, I just have a bad batch of hosts. Honestly, I'm here to tell you that's not the case. It's usually a reflection on what we're doing in our business. So we each get to decide if we want to be that focused person and run this like a well-oiled machine. If there's anything you want to just put on go, it's your host coaching. Or if you want to settle for being squirrely, that's the kind of business and the results you'll have. But I think I know what we all want and what we're going to choose to do. So I want to start with a question for you first. Do you think that if we really thought about the critical role our hosts play in our business, we would treat host coaching differently? Give me a thumbs up. Do you think if we really thought about how critical our hosts are, we would treat host coaching differently than we're doing right now? Anyone? Do you think you would? Do you think we'd ever run out of time to coach our host? Oops, we just ran out of time. Would we cut corners? No, we wouldn't. If we really kept in front of us how critical. Without host, we don't have a business. Thank you for all of you who are raising your hands. I appreciate, I'm a interactive kind of person, so I love interaction. Thank you. When we decide to be a consultant, we have a choice to sell one-on-one or one-on-12, one-on-15. How do we sell one-on-12, one-on-15? Do you know what I mean? That's a host inviting 12, 15 people. Our sales are always going to be bigger and better. If we don't have hosts, we're selling one-on-one, and you're never going to make the money and build the business that you want. So those are the things we need to remember, why our hosts are so critical and why we don't want to cut corners or wing it. So let's first get our attitude right. We need to have our attitude to be oozing with gratitude for our host. So the very first step for me for host coaching is expressing thanks. And that's a very tangible, specific thing to do. So here's how we can express thanks. First thing you can consider, I'm holding up note cards. Thank you, a written hand from you note or a postcard to your host within 24 to 48 hours of them booking is powerful. And it expresses gratitude from you, and your hosts know you are not taking them for granted and that you're not going to wing it. Now, I also last week recorded a thank you video for my host, and it was 59 seconds, and it was not long, but I actually texted it to my 4 hosts that were starting this next week, and for the first time, within 60 to 90 seconds, all 4 of them texted me back and said, I'm so excited too. So there's nothing wrong with them having a tangible note card or a postcard to put on their fridge, set on their desk, and to also get a verbal, they hear your voice, they see your face. So we're talking about good, better, best. If you don't want to do a video, if you don't want to do a note card, you could make a thank you text. Good, better, best. But something needs to be done that you start this process of host coaching, in my opinion, with an expression of gratitude. That's always going to make your heart in the right place, and they're going to appreciate you. So be as personal as you can with that attitude of gratitude. Now, we need a system for host coaching. Your system can be elaborate or it can be very simple. You know, it can be digital or it can be paper and pencil. You can be one who loves the home office materials, and I'm going to be flashing on the screen in front of you several home office materials because I use a lot of them. Yes, I like that idea, Michelle. Michelle says send them a season's best with that as a thank you note. That's a really nice gesture. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. So I don't know if you guys can see Host Coaching Tracker from Pampered Chef. It's in Consultant's Corner. I use this as my system for staying organized. I have one for virtual parties and I have one for cooking parties because I do both. I certainly add tabs and different things. I don't recreate my own, but if you want to create your own checklist, you can. I just added, if you were to see this up close, you would see the first column I added, thank you text or thank you video. And I've added that now as a check mark. So I make sure I'm thanking them. And that's going to be a great way to track anything you do. The truth is you want to track it. That's the system side of it. Let's exceed our host expectations. How can we exceed our host expectations? That needs to be our goal. Hopefully we do that again with our first impression. We leave with them with a thank you gesture. The next thing we need to do to exceed expectations is treat each party as if it's the only party we have on our calendar. How would you treat a party differently if you weren't like, oh, I have 5 this week. This is just 1 of 5. Or I have 4 cooking parties. It's just 1. Do you realize it's your host only party? It might be your 4th or 5th party. It's their only. If you treat every party on your calendar like it's the only one you have, you will exceed expectations. You will cross your T's and dot your I's. And I don't mean stressful and I don't mean over the top, but I just mean systematic. I mean organized. So here's the question for you. What expectations do you have for each party? Do you cross your fingers and hope for the best? Or have you found a formula for success that you know works and you share it with your host? Remember, if you don't know your goal for your party, your host won't either. I'm going to suggest, of course, your goal is $1,000 party. And I'm going to suggest the proven formula is 5 plus 15 plus 5. Now that is an old cooking party, but I think it rolls over to virtual depending on how you're doing your business. And 5 for the cooking party was 5 orders before the party, 15 orders at the party, and 5 orders after the party. Now, you know that can work in the virtual world too. Absolutely. 5 orders from people not in the virtual party, 15 at the virtual party, and 5 more from those not at the virtual party. So the formula you can know and feel confident about that you will want to share is simple. 5, 15, 5. So in addition, your goal is 3 parties booked from each party. 3. And when that's my goal and I share that goal of 3 parties booked and I give my host that goal and I personally choose to tie an incentive to it, guess how many of what the average number of parties I get booked by my host? 2. But if I made my goal 2 and I shared my goal was 2, how many do you think on average I'd get? 1. If I made a goal, I want to replace every party with 1 party, how many times do you think I might get 0 bookings? It would happen. So again, same thing with why are you setting a $1,000 goal? So that often you're hitting $700, $800, $900. So always think big and make sure that you're sharing this goal with your host as well. So you can use graphics for these sort of things. You can do anything cute. My current fun that I'm having is tic-tac-toe board. So I do a tic-tac-toe for my host, and the prizes are small, but I think it's fun. It helps hosts that need direction to know how to work effectively and be able to really be, getting it done with direction and they don't feel confused. I have one host tic-tac-toe for cooking parties. and a different host tic-tac-toe for virtual parties. So I will share those with your executive and my team if you want to see it. But again, personalize. Every system is your own. Your host coaching needs to be frequent and excited. Our goal is to have our host engaged and excited about their party the whole time. So constant is wrong, strike that. Frequent communication that's predictable is always helpful. And you can do that in a lot of different ways. I'm looking to see where I see noise and I can't hear it. If you're not muted, will you please mute yourself? Okay. Sorry, somebody's not muted. Oh, thank you. I will look for that person.
You gotta be quiet. I'm trying to find out what's going on here.
All right, now did I get everybody? Okay, back to this. I have been doing host coaching letters for probably 2 years, and I'm not even kidding you. Last year, 2018, I had 2 cancellations in the entire year. And simple, I will share my letters, but again, they're nothing that's going to like rock your world. It's about consistently doing it. So here's how we organize the letters. I print all 3 letters in 3 different colors and then address them at the time that the person books. And in the top left corner where the stamp goes, I put L1 or L2 or L3 and the date it needs to be mailed. These all sit in a little shuffle file, and I look every Monday as the date because I don't want one day I got to mail them on Monday and next day it's Wednesday. So it's all the Monday, and then I look at my letter. I'm like, oh, Renee, that was actually supposed to go out yesterday. No, 2 days ago. Don't tell anybody. Anyway, I'm 2 days late, so I'm going to put a little stamp right over L1 and the date, and I drop this in the mailbox, and I'm good to go. So work your business, and your host coaching works well in pockets of time. And that's about having a system and being intentional. So you don't a little here, a little there, and then you don't remember what you're working on. So a lot of consultants have had success doing power hours. And they either divide an hour into 15-minute segments, or they divide their week. And they know Monday is host coaching, Tuesday is bookings, Wednesday is recruiting. You can decide however you want to do it. But get your stuff done and your letters organized. So not every week you're like, what letter did I send to so-and-so? Who's on what? And it's really going to help when you check it off your list as well. Okay, so that is one system for you. The other option that I've also had great success with is a texting host coaching system. And it's 5 different texts that I send with dates, and I just have them saved in my phone, and I copy and paste. And again, I checklist it off so I know which text I've sent to which host. And then I have supporting videos for a few of those that just get to hear my face or hear my voice and see my face in excitement. So remember, this isn't about elaborate and overwhelming. I told you at the beginning of this call, I was going to share several ideas with you and let you pick what you know is going to work for your business and let you know what's going to be. If you were to talk to all the executives that are a part of this program, you would hear, there's 6 of us, you would hear 6 different host coaching systems. So I bring you several ideas, and then you can pick and choose what's going to work with you. And again, I will share letters, I will share my texting system, and then let you make it authentic to you and what's going to work for you. Does that sound good? Are you feeling good about that? Now, back in the day, I was really into postcards, and I want to tell you the importance of this frequent, excited in communication. You never know the impression it's leaving with your host. I was at a party, and one of the guests was saying, I don't know, I'm thinking about having a party. I just don't know if I should. And the host that I was currently at her house, she said, you totally need to have a party with Julie. She sends you a postcard every week and tells you exactly what to do. You'll never be stressed. And I was like, wow. So it was a testimony that I didn't even ask for. So whether you send text and the host could look at her friend in the eyes and say, don't worry, Carol will send you a text every Monday. You'll know exactly what to do. Or Michelle's going to send you a video. She tells you what to do. Because what our hosts want is direction, and they want to know they're working with a confident, organized consultant. And if you all, I will tell you, one of the best things I do for myself, if I start getting squirrely and I'm like, we stop doing some things sometimes that work that is just crazy, but we do it. Here's the fix. I book a party with another direct seller. And guess what? Most of the time, the host coaching is horrendous. Most of the time, I don't have any idea the expectations. I can't tell you if I've ever had another direct seller set a goal with me. I've never had them give me frequent, consistent communication. And I'm not bagging on people. I've been that squirrely girl before or guy before. But what I want to tell you is if you are ever hesitant and think, I don't want to be bossy, remember, this is not about being bossy. Remember, we are host coaching, not host wishing or host cheerleading. We are host coaching. Someone booked a party with you that they want to be a success. Nobody wants to fail at their party. So it is our job because remember, we're treating it like it's the only party on our calendar and that we want it to be good for them. So if you haven't had a party with another direct seller for a while and experienced what it's like to be on the end or being host coach, try it. It'll change how you do your business. Can I get any thumbs up or amens? Anyone experienced that before? Right? So let's not be that person. Let's be the one that our host brags about and says, you can totally have a party with so-and-so. They're going to really help you know exactly what to do. Okay? So here's one I'd like to just reinforce with you, this expectation that we want to have with our host. Here's some words that I like to say that builds confidence and expectations. I always say, most of my host blank, or my most successful host blank. And then you fill it in. Collect $200 in orders before their party starts. Or my most successful hosts have 2 bookings lined up before we even start. My most successful host, whatever you want to say, but do you hear when you say something like that, they get to choose which side they want to be. Do they want to be one of the most successful hosts? Or do they want to be winging it? And, they are not going to want that. So get that as part of your vocabulary that you get to say, my most successful host, or most of my hosts do that. So here's a question. If we all have been shaking our heads agreeing, we don't want to be the one that doesn't coach. We want to have less cancellations, higher sales. The question is, why don't we do it? Well, in the past, I didn't do it because I didn't know what to do, but you're going to be armed today with more ideas than you're going to want. Then the other reason is we don't do it because we get busy. We don't have it systematically in place. So here's what you want to ask yourself regarding host coach. Can you delegate, automate, or eliminate anything? Those are the 3 8s. I'll say it again. Related to host coaching, is there anything you can delegate, automate, or eliminate? Okay, so let's talk about delegate. If you have children, my children are both gone and moved away out of state. But back in the day when they lived at home, they helped make host packets. Back in the day, I actually would trade with people and have a mom come over, help me with host packets, and I let her pick out of my closet of products and she could take products home. Now as an executive director, this is a perk you all will want. I have an assistant. She's coming in 40 minutes. She does all my host coaching letters, host packets, etc. So that's the goal for you down the road to be able to have someone do that. But even now, you can find a way for someone that you could delegate this job to. Now, the videos need to be your face. The chatter and texting needs to be you. But the things that don't need your personality regarding host coaching would be best if you can delegate it. Now, I don't know who's watching this video today. And if you started 2 weeks ago, you probably are not ready to delegate. But for those of you who have been in for a while, this might be something to put on your bucket list to find a way to delegate. Let's talk about automate. In my mind, this is a simple automate. It's an envelope system with the address, and it's automatically done. You don't think about every Monday, where are those letters? You automated it because you did it once. I don't want to overwhelm you, but I will tell you there's another automate system, and some of you are going to be like, stop, I don't want to know. And some of you are going to want to know. It's called Project Broadcast, and you can actually schedule texts with a template attached to it. Anybody heard of that? My assistant started it for me last week, and it is an app on your phone, and it's $10 You don't have to do this. I'm just kind of giving you a B list, A list, whatever you want to see, what level you want to take this to, depending on how many parties you're doing. And there's a template, and she would, let's say Nancy booked a party with me. She would plug in Nancy and then plug in the dates, and it will just auto, and on the dates you have scheduled, it would send your different text messages at key points in your host coaching system. So some of you are gonna be like, stop talking, I don't want to hear this. But those of you are intrigued, Crystal Jackson, you like it? Yeah, those of you who don't hate me yet, it's called Project Broadcast, and you can do some investigating. But again, this isn't for everyone, but I wanted to share this option with you. Okay, so that's your automate. And then there's the eliminate. What part of host coaching have you been doing that you're not seeing results with that you could just eliminate? And I mean in the sense of, are you putting extra fancy flyers in your host packets that you spent hours working on that you don't even talk about? You know that if you put something in a host pack, you should talk about it, whether it's in a text, a call, a message. If not, in my mind, a flyer that goes in a host packet with no chatter is like, could you please recycle that for me? Like, you're just not expecting that they may even look at it. That may be your eliminate piece. Again, especially if you're spending more time working on it than you are talking about it or really investing in that. So those are your 3 8s. Delegate, find a way to automate, or eliminate. And maybe you're already streamlined and there's nothing you need to eliminate. Okay? Now, I've thrown a lot at you. I've talked fast. What sort of questions or comments do you have that we can, I'm looking through the chat section. I love someone already said getting their daughter to help with some photo cards. There's a lot of things we forget to ask for help about that I think we can certainly add to this. So what would you all want to ask me a question in the chat, or you can unmute yourself?
Julie?
Yes, Kristen. Yes, Kristen.
On the app that you talked about, I think you said it was Project Broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter, Android, iPhone?
I only have an iPhone, but I don't all. So I'll send you guys a picture of it, and then you can share it with your team so everybody knows they're looking at the right one.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm. We're going to do a recap in a minute to review, but what else do we want to do? Okay, good question. So Denise has a question. Oh, Angie, I will post the letters to your executives so we can share with our own teams. Host packets for virtual host. I do a host packet for every host of mine, whether it's a virtual party or a cooking party. I know there's mixed reviews on that, and there's some people who ask their host, if I mailed you catalogs, would you use them, or are you only going to use the digital? And they hear them say, I'm only going to use digital. So this is, again, one of these, you get to decide. For me, I like to give them a hard copy, even if it's one catalog that I tell them, grab a Sharpie and make a really big wish list. I didn't say this, and I really should have started with this. Our goal is to have a really greedy host. Anyone want to give me an amen for that? If your host is not greedy, they're not going to hustle as much. Yes, they won't say that they're having a party just because they want free stuff. They're going to be shy about that. But the truth is, if they're greedy, and I mean that in a very complimentary way, they're going to fight hard. They're going to go for one more order, one more booking, one more whatever. So we create greedy hosts by making sure we do know their wish list. We can use their wish list as incentives for them. We can use their wish list as games in our parties. You know, this is off of Kelly's wish list. Which one of these do you think was hers, or which one is not? And then host gets to pipe in. So we need to really create this desire for products among our hosts. And for me, it's, hey, I mailed you a catalog, use a Sharpie and make a really big wish list. We'll find how we can get this for you for your half price. So ask yourself, how much are you creating desire? Or is your host like, hey, I'm happy if I have $200. I just wanted to get a little skinny scraper. I'm like, oh, no, we're not doing this. Okay. How long before the party do we send out the host packets? That's a great question, Carol. I like to have them out 3 to 4 weeks in advance. Yes, Michelle, greedy equals motivated. Thank you. That was a nicer way to say it than what I said, for sure. Any other questions or comments? So recapping, we do want to chat with our host before, during, and after our party. Before, during, and after, whether it's virtual or a cooking. And again, the times that I have felt like as soon as my relationship, when my other direct sell parties end, I felt like my relationship with that consultant ended. Ask yourself, what kind of relationship do you carry on with your host when the party's over? This is a before, after, and before, during, and after relationship. Because that after is bookings in a year that they refer you to someone. It's joining your team 6 months, even though you asked them 3 or 4 times during host coaching to join your team. Before, during, and after relationships is what we're going for. Great question, Angie. Do you offer incentives or orders they get before their party? I have included that in my tic-tac-toes. So it's one of the squares that they can earn. And again, I'll share this with you, that they do get an incentive. There's also a great graph you can do where you give them a little check sheet. It has like 15 batter bowls on it. And when they check off all 15 batter bowls, they get a rub from you or a skinny scraper, that focus of 15 orders, that before, during, and after. So lots of different ways, Angie, that you can motivate for orders. And I don't want anyone to think I can't afford to do incentives. I want you to always count the cost. If I do an incentive to get me 3 bookings, I give the gift at the third party when the third party happens. So I'm not losing money. Y'all, we are in this business to make money and not spend it. So always count the cost. Get your calculator out and make sure you're making good decisions related to money. Sometimes there's small things you can do to invest, and certainly you'll make more money, but never go haphazardly and give away the farm for something you didn't budget or you didn't use a calculator to say, well, my party at this level, this is the commission I made, this is what I can afford to do. Okay, so don't penny pinch yourself with too many rewards, which is why my preference at this moment is the tic-tac-toe, because it's not just one thing that they do. So it's the tic-tac-toe plus I'm going to do a bigger incentive for 3 bookings. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Michelle, I do put the tic-tac-toe in my host packet, and then every text is kind of fun because the text that I'll share with you on my system, it refers back to a different square on the tic-tac-toe board. It's pretty slick how it all meshes together. And I can say it's pretty slick because my assistant did it. So I'm not bragging on myself, I'm bragging on her. So, you know, it's just about getting that in place and you're ready to go. But again, I'll share it with you so you get the benefit of what she did too. So who is excited to host coach? Who's had a mind shift that I don't want to sell one-on-one, I want to build a relationship, and I want to have a before, during, and after relationship, and I want to exceed expectations. That's going to start with an expression of gratitude. And did you notice my expression of gratitude suggestion had no money involved? It was a thank you note, a thank you video, thank you text. Okay, good. Any other questions before we hang up? I'm excited too. It was fun to share it. And I want you to know that I know we've kind of scratched the surface lightly because host coaching is so dense that I literally didn't want your arm to fall off today and have too many suggestions for you. But if this just whetted your appetite, but you feel like you need more, I'm going to tell you PC University, Ask Your Exec, or Coffee Talk. But my goal was never today to overwhelm you with too much information. I'm a bite-sized kind of person, and that I think if we know the reason behind something, then we'll go after it harder and then make it yours. Don't try to be worried about copycatting what someone else does. Find a system, brand it for you, and run with it. Okay? All right, peeps. Then let's have a great day. Let's go for solid wrap up June, really strong, and then tell yourself July 1st, I'm running with an organized host coaching system, and it's going to be, a little combo of something I've automated delegated or eliminated, and that you're going to have the best July. And the best thing you can do, if you're not already doing, track your numbers after every party. What are the average number of orders you have? And if you don't have 15, which, I mean, confession, I don't have 15 orders at every party, but how close am I? Then maybe I need to right away do that graphic with the batter bowls, and they check off 15 batter bowls as a, key to a great party, or the whole statement. Most of my most successful hosts collect 15 orders. Look at your consultant connection. How many orders do you have per party? Look at your bookings. How many bookings do you on average have? What's your show average? Here's one. What's the average size of your order per customer? So if you're not a numbers person, it's a really fun way to study yourself. And again, it's not haphazard. Everything we do, there's a correlation between cause and effect. Okay? So we'll leave you with that. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.